What is up, full-time family? I believe we got Yoza L early in the chat. What's going on, brother? I see you in here. It's time for full-time MMA Live. This is actually going to be a rather short show. I got a lot of shit I got to deal with. It's crunch time. Y'all know how it goes. Month-to-month process. Going month-to-month. Bills are due tomorrow. So we got to try and get some stuff figured out. But we got that under control. We're going to get some work done today. It's my nephew's birthday. I don't know how this is all going to work. But we got it. But it's 6 o'clock my time, Central Standard. 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The normal time we do the live show. And we got a lot. And I'm talking about a lot of MMA to cover. This is the thing. There's probably even more we could cover. But I got to make it a short show. And you guys, some of you might know how I tend to do. Once we get on an interesting topic, we might fucking stay there for 30 minutes. Rambling, talking about possibilities, matchups. It's a great sport, man. MMA is a great sport. It's a great time to be an MMA fan. But with that being said, let's get into the first topic of the night. Interesting. There's so much good shit going on in the world of MMA. I fucking love this sport. This another topic for another day, man. We got dreams, full-time family. One of these days, we're going to be getting paid to talk about this sport. We ain't going to be having to cut the show short so we can find a way to pay our motherfucking bill that's already on the payment plan due tomorrow. One of these days, we're not going to have those issues. The motherfucking, what's that thing called? Payday loan. $100 every 2 weeks. Just, fuck this shit sometimes. You guys see I ain't even got a haircut in like motherfucking 3 months. Your boy's broke, but that's because we're trying to stay afloat and we ain't had a lot of other work, so we're trying to survive off the like fucking $300-400 we get from YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Which is somewhat possible, but we're fucking close, dog. But either way, man, and we was paying my fucking neighbors. Let's talk about MMA because fucking life, man. Sometimes I just want to punch shit. I need to get like a punching bag in my fucking garage. And that's another thing. I'm trying to get back on my healthy shit, bro. My fucking gym membership is not expired, but that motherfucker, I owe Genesis money, man, a little bit because they ripped me off. Motherfuck. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. That's why this sport is so great, because you can have all of that shit going on top of other shit and on top of other shit and on top of other shit. But we can distract ourselves from all of that bullshit when we see motherfucking Stipe Miocic talking about Brock Lesnar's disrespectful motherfucking UFC 226 performance. Stipe Miocic just did his thing, just got his respect from the UFC. He just got happy with his pay. He just got moved up to number 2 pound for pound in the rankings. And then what happens after he loses his title? First title defense, he just broke the record. He's finally getting some respect. Motherfucking Brock Lesnar comes in there and dials up the disrespect. Francis, I've been watching these fights. Francis was a piece of shit. Miocic, he was a piece of shit. What? Are you talking about the motherfucking heavyweight champion that just got knocked out and broke the UFC heavyweight title defense record? You saying he's a piece of shit? Mr. fucking WWE? Are you talking about our fucking heavyweight champion while you're over there, the motherfucking intercontinental motherfucking tag team 2-time, 3-time? What the? Don't talk about our sport. Don't be disrespectful, Brock. Don't be disrespectful. We like watching your fights, man, sometimes. I mean, we like watching them, but it's kind of fucked up seeing Mark Hunt getting, like, fucked over. You know, we like whenever you were, before you said, I don't know what we like, Brock. You're a fucking white boy and you're jacked, so we like watching you. But you ain't gonna come over here disrespecting the motherfucking former champ Stipe Miocic like this, dog. Not on Stipe Miocic's watch. But no, on a real tip, on a real fucking tip though, on a serious life, that was pretty disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Stipe Miocic just got knocked out. That's already one thing. You know what I'm saying? That's already one thing. You lost your belt. You got knocked out in the first round to the light heavyweight champion. That's something you can deal with. But you're gonna tell me after that and then Brock Lesnar got kind of lucky. Stipe Miocic, he could have heard that shit and flipped the wrong way. You know, especially after getting knocked out, you ain't always thinking exactly clear. So a lot of the times you're concussed. So imagine if Stipe Miocic was concussed and he heard, Stipe Miocic is a piece of shit. Turned around like, who the fuck? Did Brock Lesnar just call me a piece of shit after I got knocked out in the first round? I'm not playing. This ain't the WWE. This is my real fucking life, dog. I just had a baby girl and I'm still in here fighting. I could be, celebrating the birth of my child. I'm in here fighting for the fucking heavyweight title, baddest man on the planet. just got knocked out and you're talking shit? Do you know who the fuck I am? I'm Stipe Miocic. I will fuck you up before, during, or after the bell. That's all I'm saying, Brock. So Brock, you know, he kind of got lucky that Stipe Miocic didn't feel this way that night. He might have kind of got lucky Stipe Miocic didn't have his wits about him, or we could have been seeing Stipe Miocic versus Brock Lesnar. No belt, no title. I'm talking about scuffle in the octagon. I'm sure it'd get broken away. The security would come in. I'm just saying, Stipe Miocic, as the baddest man on the planet, former heavyweight champion, he likely isn't going to be taking that from Brock Lesnar. You know, you piece of shit right behind him. Mother. I'm just saying, you know, Stipe could have got an ant. But either way, Stipe Miocic felt like it was disrespectful. But that's not even, like, the biggest part of this story. One other interesting thing here is he feels like he deserves an immediate rematch. Now, that's another conversation. Stipe Miocic was knocked out in the first round. That's usually not how you get a rematch. You know what I'm saying? We saw that with Luke Rockhold. He fought Michael Bisping. A lot of people might have felt like, oh, it was a fluke. If Luke gets the rematch, then he's going to get the belt back. But this is the thing. You don't get an immediate rematch when you get knocked out in the first round. Ask Dana White. Especially if you already weren't like, you know, a guy that, for whatever reason, the UFC, I don't want to say they're pushing or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Stipe just got his respect from the UFC. It's not like, you kind of distracted me. We walk that way because you just distracted me. My line of vision, I'm trying to think here. All right, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Y'all see that someone walking behind me? I'm watching the screen and sidetracking me. But I was saying, though, Stipe Miocic demanding the rematch. You're not always guaranteed a rematch after a first-round knockout, as we saw in Luke Rockhold and Michael Bisping. But Stipe Miocic is a guy that just broke the heavyweight defense record. He was starting to be talked about with the greatest heavyweights of all time on top of breaking that record. Defended his belt 3 times. Now, that's an argument for a rematch, but now we start talking about the business. You know, we start talking about who's going to sell more pay-per-views. Like, yeah, Miocic, yeah, he might be able to win a rematch for sure. I would like to see the rematch, but that's just not how this business works. You got Brock Lesnar just staring at that title shot now. Millions of pay-per-view sales behind him likely. I mean, Brock Lesnar, I mean, we'll see what happens after UFC 225 because those pay-per-view numbers with CM Punk, with Colby Covington, with Robert Whittaker versus, I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on at UFC 225, and they still had some pretty low numbers. And so for that being said, we'll see if, you know, Brock Lesnar still brings all the eyes to the sport. I would think he would. I would, especially after that push in the octagon. For sure, he's probably going to sell a lot more pay-per-views, and so that also helps. But before I got distracted, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about how, you know, if you're not a person that gets really pushed by the UFC, like let's say a Cody Garbrandt, right? He's a guy that he's got a lot of fans behind him, so the UFC likes Cody Garbrandt, and it seems like that's how he was able to get a title shot quicker than some other people. You had, one second, but you had fucking, God, I'm getting fucking sidetracked because I got some. Downstairs. All right. Sorry, full-time family. That's why I'm live streaming up here. One of these days, though, man, I'm fucking in my room, so it's kind of got everybody else in the house worrying about what they're doing for my live stream. It's fucking madness. But my lease is up in like 2 months. We're going to be in a better spot. I'm just saying, fuck with your boy for now. But either way, I was saying Cody Garbrandt. He's a guy that he seems like he was getting a little bit of a push in my mind. And I say that because he knocked out Thomas Almeida. I believe he was ranked number 5 at the time. And then he knocked out Takeya Mizugaki lower in the rankings, like ranked 9. But then he jumped to a title shot. And it's like, yo, that doesn't happen to everybody. Everybody, you know, doesn't just get title shots off of beating the number 5 ranked guy or whatever. So it's like Cody Garbrandt clearly had the fans that wanted to see him, the rivalry with Team Alpha Male, whatever it is, he was kind of getting that push. And now, even though he lost his title, right, he's a guy that is getting a rematch. For sure. Cody Garbrandt, he's getting an immediate rematch, even though TJ Dillashaw might have not been his first opportunity. And maybe after TJ Dillashaw sat down with his team, and, you know, thought about it, talked about it, okay, we'll go with Cody. But originally, TJ's like, good luck with that immediate rematch. You know what I fucking had to go through to get my rematch back? Perfect example. TJ Dillashaw's a guy. He lost a close split decision, or unanimous. It was a close decision to Dominick Cruz, but it was close. A lot of people thought TJ won, some people thought Dominick won, but it was a title fight. So either way, when you have a title fight and you lose your belt that close, you might think you would get a rematch. But TJ's not a guy that's necessarily known for getting those opportunities, right? He had to fight a #1 contender after losing the belt. Then he had to fight another #1 contender. You know, some guys get to fight #5, #9 title shot. Some guys got to go #5, #4, #2, then title shot, like Robert Whittaker, Tony Ferguson, 9-fight winning streak, Max Holloway. A lot of guys, you know, when you go on those type of winning streaks, those are the guys that actually earned their belt. They had nothing to do with politics. There wasn't no, oh, the fans like him, they like his fucking tattoos, they like his rivalry. That's the real badass champions to me. The guys that went through the murderer's row. I'm talking about cleared out the division and then became the champion. Those are the best fighters in the world. Anybody else to me is somewhat suspect. Somewhat. Now, Conor McGregor, he's somewhat suspect. Cody Garbrandt, somewhat. I still believe in them. I think they're talented. Some of the best fighters in the world. But they just didn't necessarily go through the route of fighters that didn't have that push. Like Max Holloway, like Tony Ferguson, like Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker had to fight. There was the fucking 4 horsemen in the middleweight division. You had Chris Weidman, fucking Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero, and Jacare. Those were the 4 horsemen while Michael Bisping was the champion. All 4 of them just couldn't wait to get their hands on Michael Bisping. Robert Whittaker was on the outside looking in. He had to come in, take out one of the horsemen, Jacare, boom, very impressively. No title shot. Had to come out and fight Yoel again. Boom. He had to fight Yoel for the interim title first. Fought Yoel, got the title. Beat 2 of the fucking 4 horsemen. Now he's got to wait to see what happens. I beat 2 of the 4 horsemen. Do I get my big money fight that I earned beating these guys? Now do I get to fight Bisping, who everyone's been wanting to fight? Nope, you got to fight Yoel again. Bisping's fighting GSP. GSP's vacating. Sorry, the money fights are gone now. Now Whittaker had to fight Yoel, Rockhold. Now fucking Yoel again. Like, that's a murderer's row. And guys like that, to me, those are the best fighters in the world. So with that being said, Stipe Miocic, he's a guy that kind of did that in the heavyweight division, you know? And so maybe he does deserve a title shot. He beat some legit guys, but then at the same time, you look at the finish. So there's a lot going into it, man. Another topic that we could probably have a conversation on, probably do a whole show on just this topic, stuff going on with Brock Lesnar, Daniel Cormier in the heavyweight division. But as I said in the beginning, we got to kind of limit the topic. So I'm going to read what Stipe had to say. He also called the performance a shit show before we continue. He said, speaking to ESPN, I believe with Ariel Helwani on his new MMA show, it was a shit show and it was disrespectful. I didn't think that was what the UFC was all about. I thought they were going to interview me after the fight and I was going to ask for a rematch. Damn. That's fucked up. Like, you, Stipe, you're waiting around for your chance. Like, yeah, man, you know, I came out here, I put it on the line. I would love a rematch, DC. But instead, you're waiting around for your moment, and you start hearing, Stipe Miocic, you're a piece of shit. Like, what the fuck? That is unfortunate. And it's kind of laughing because I see the comedy in it. But if you're Stipe Miocic, that's not a laughing matter. I just got fucking knocked out. I got a whole plan here. Like, I still want to ask for my rematch. It's kind of fucked up. I still think I'm the best heavyweight on the planet. Meanwhile, I turn my fucking head over my shoulder and DC's getting launched halfway across the octagon, and I'm hearing that I'm a piece of shit. Completely disrespectful, especially to a champion. And he continued. He said, when Brock came in and said, I'm out here, I don't need this circus, how can you give a guy a title shot who hasn't fought in 2 years, is suspended, and his last fight is a no contest because he was taking PEDs? That's still something that's like the elephant in the room. Like, I think everyone wants to see this fight so much, and nobody's really pointed that fucking glaring factor out. This guy's coming off of a fucking drug test suspension. He didn't beat the #1 contender, and he failed his fucking drug test, and he has been out for like the last year. Like, what are we really doing here? Everyone's just like, let's go, motherfucking Brock. Do you see how far he pushed DC? And even if you're not talking about that, you're like, yeah, but is this the WWE now? Is this the motherfucking, is this real? Is this fake? But no one's saying, how the fuck is he really getting a title shot? I think it's kind of, we're all kind of like adjusted to it. Oh, he sells pay-per-views. Like, we all get it now. It's a business, right? That's what it is. Like, we kind of all know by now. After 2 CM Punk fights and everything else, all the rest of the circus, the big drama show, oh, okay, he sells pay-per-views. I get it. But yeah, is it right? Fuck no. Should Brock Lesnar get a title shot? That's not even a real question. I don't think there's any person probably in the chat or that's going to listen to this later that would say Brock Lesnar deserves a title shot. If you want to talk about deserves, you're more talking about Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier deserves a big money fight for sure. He's been through a lot. He's one of the GOATs. Hashtag not my GOAT. Hashtag natty GOAT. I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing a full 180. I know I was the guy that was saying DC was one of the GOATs before he beat Stipe, but I can't do that to us. And I'm not switching up to be, what is it called, a hypocrite. I'm switching up to save MMA. I'm sorry, full-time family. Hashtag not my GOAT. I can't call Daniel Cormier the GOAT until he's out of this fight with Brock Lesnar. Now, if Daniel Cormier was fighting another heavyweight, and even if he lost then, I'm giving him GOAT title. But I can't call him, like, if he went and fought Curtis Blades and lost, yeah, DC's not going to fucking beat everybody forever. That's a very real possibility. But just because you lose at the very end of your career doesn't mean you're not the GOAT. So if DC wanted to come in and fight Stipe again or fight Curtis Blades again, I don't care if he fucking wins or loses. He's the GOAT for what he did in that night, UFC 226. When he was able to knock out Stipe Miocic, he certified himself as the GOAT. Now, if you want to keep fighting MMA or just retire right there, you can retire as the GOAT. But if you want to go for these big money Brock Lesnar fights, hashtag not my GOAT. And it's not because I don't want you to get the money. It's because if Brock Lesnar fucking beats DC, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Seriously. Everyone's now starting to sing the same tune. DC's the GOAT. Even if he's not the GOAT, I mean, you can't give Jon Jones the GOAT anymore. He just did this at heavyweight. Even the people that held him back because of Jon Jones, now they're saying DC's the GOAT. That's literally a common belief now. Daniel Cormier is the GOAT. Thanks to UFC 226. Proved my point. I've been saying he's one of the GOATs. But now that everybody say DC's the GOAT, my question is, what the fuck? And shout out to my boy Christian A. I don't want to put his full name out there because it's actually my boy. But either way, that's who I was talking about. We were talking about this. What if? Biggest fucking question of the weekend, of the week. I mean, maybe of the year. What if? What if Brock Lesnar from the WWE at 41 years old beats Daniel Cormier? What if? We can't fucking have that. It's a real possibility. For sure DC could knock him out. He just knocked out Stipe. But what if he don't? What if fucking Brock Lesnar beats the GOAT? That's what I'm fucking saying. What if Brock Lesnar from the fucking WWE beats the fucking GOAT of the UFC? Fuck that. I'm not setting myself up for that, dog. I'm not doing it. Because then you literally have to fucking talk about Brock Lesnar in the conversation of GOAT. I'm not doing that. Not my motherfucking GOAT. I'm sorry, DC, huge fan. And if we were just talking, yo, bro, you're the GOAT. But no, you're not my fucking GOAT while we're fighting Brock Lesnar because I'm not setting myself up for failure. If I call DC the GOAT and I just start taking that flag, DC's the GOAT. Fuck you guys. I've been telling you DC's the GOAT. DC's the GOAT. Greatest of all time. You're looking at DC. Double champ. I can't just push that fucking flag out there like I want to because he's fighting Brock Lesnar. And if I come out here just going gung-ho DC the GOAT and he loses that fight, Brock Lesnar just beat the GOAT of our sport, and I'm not fucking having that. Brock Lesnar will never be my GOAT. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck if you came in and beat Stipe Miocic. It was a fluke. You got him with your takedown. You're still the worst striker. You're not my GOAT. Brock Lesnar's not my motherfucking GOAT. He never will be. It's not a conversation. I don't give a fuck if you beat Jon Jones. You're not my motherfucking GOAT, dog. And that's literally part of the reason I can't rock with DC this hard leading up to the fight. I know there's a good chance DC wins. Hell, he should win. What the fuck are you talking about? He just knocked out Stipe. Brock Lesnar's a white boy and he's jacked, but he's still getting older. I don't know what the... Andy's got to go through 6 months of USADA testing? Come on. There's a very real chance this fight doesn't happen, and there's a very real chance if it does happen, DC wins. But just the fact that there's that motherfucking sliver of a question, what if? The fact that there's that motherfucking sliver, what if Brock Lesnar wins? No, I'm sorry, man. So that's how I really feel on this topic. That's my biggest question. You'll probably hear that again on more live shows. What if? That's all I got to say. What if? And the rest of the question clearly is, what if Brock Lesnar beats the GOAT? Is he the GOAT? Are you, motherfucker, right now, and just talking to my boys and my girls, whoever's listening, are you ready to call Brock Lesnar the GOAT? If not, hashtag not my GOAT. Hashtag not my GOAT. So we're going to move on. Stipe Miocic back to getting disrespected. Just got his fucking respect, dog. It is what it is, though. Shout out to the full-time family, man. Let's continue. I probably just spent 20 minutes on that topic. We got more topics to go, and I got to make this a short show. Yo, Let's fucking go, man. And you can't complain. There's never too much MMA. There's topics that we could talk about that aren't even on the show today because there's so much stuff going on in the world of MMA, which is a good thing for us because there's a lot going on. I mean, it could be worse. It could be nothing happening. We could have nothing to talk about. Which one would you rather have? But one thing that was interesting, Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov both at the World Cup. Now, that could have played out crazy, right? But also, it's kind of, I don't know the word, not ironic, but it's kind of dope to think. Conor McGregor and Khabib, right? They were in this big stadium watching the World Cup. Usually, they're the guys in the center of the stadium, and everyone's watching them. And they could have, for sure, honestly, that could be the stadium. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if Conor McGregor versus Khabib would, like, fucking, I would assume it would sell out a stadium like the World Cup. I don't know how much seats that thing's hold. I'm not that fucking worldly yet. But either way, Conor McGregor and Khabib, I found that kind of cool. Like, these two dudes are in the stands, probably, in my mind, the two most important motherfucking people in that arena. I'm sure that they're not, though, right? I'm sure there was probably, like, presidents and foreign diplomats and royalty there that I have no clue about. But I'm focused on Khabib and Conor. I know what the fuck these two don't like each other. I know what happens if they walk into each other or Conor walks into this bathroom and Khabib's already in there. I'm just saying, you know how much shit could have went down? Like, what if motherfucker he shoulder bumps him one time? What if it's fucking Conor and Artem walking up and it's just them two and they just see motherfucking Khabib at the hot dog stand? I'm just saying, dog. I'm just saying. That shit's crazy. They were in the same place, bro. Conor and Khabib were in the same place after the Dahlia incident. Send me location. Hey, motherfucker, I'm going to be at the FIFA World Cup. What you tell me? If I'm Conor McGregor, I'm there. I'm with Putin. You're over there on the motherfucking B side, and I'm with the president. How's that feel, Khabib? How's it feel? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's another thing we didn't really touch too much on. We were just more the fact that they were both in attendance at the same building. That's crazy already. But Conor McGregor, like, was talking about building a Russian compound. Motherfuckers building some shit over there in Russia. And he was hanging out with Putin. You know, this is the greatest leader of all time or something like that. Conor McGregor's over there dibbling and dabbling with Russian royalty before he possibly takes the head off of Khabib, which I'm sure is what he wants to do. But as I've been saying, man, one real possibility for this fight, and I'm upstairs now, so I don't have my demonstration doll, but a real possibility for this fight, you want to talk about some WWE shit, Khabib Nurmagomedov might powerbomb Conor McGregor. That's the type of motherfucking grappling we're dealing with. Khabib Nurmagomedov, best grappler in the lightweight division. In a lot of people's minds, 26-0, undefeated. Might be the only fighter that you can name that's went 26-0. UFC, MMA, that's not the sport where people go undefeated. This isn't boxing. You don't just get to fucking beat up on a bunch of cans, we'll just call them. You don't just get to beat up on a bunch of 1-6. Like, bro, it's almost a joke what goes on at the lowest level of boxing. Like, you got a bunch of guys trying to stay undefeated, so it's like they're passing around the guys that are losers. It's like you got winners and you got losers in boxing. If you're a loser, you're a loser. You're going to just lose all your fights because other people have to pad their records. So you're going to fuck around and go 1-10, but that's 10 people that just got wins. And then you got another guy that's like 1-20, and you got another guy that's like 2-15, but then you got a bunch of people that are like 12-0, 13-0, 20-0. But it's because they've been fighting a bunch of motherfuckers that are like 4-16. You know what I'm saying? So that's very rare in MMA to be 26-0. And Khabib's last 3 performances, and even if you were a person that felt like before that point Khabib wasn't fighting the highest level competition, because I'm not going to lie, that's how I felt. I got a video out when I first started this channel, Full-Time MMA, not the other one, MMA Quick Hits 2. But when I first started Full-Time MMA and I did my Khabib versus the World, this was before the Barboza fight. This was before the Michael Johnson fight even, I believe. And also before his Ally Quinta fight. And before that, if you looked at Khabib's resume, there was really, out of the 23 names or something like that, maybe you only recognized 3 of them. And so, yeah, you could say, okay, but he hasn't been fighting the best guys in the world. But now, Khabib has been fighting Edson Barboza's fucking Ally Quinta and Michael Johnson. And so he's out-grappled some of the best strikers in the UFC. Now, there's still maybe a couple questions, you know what I'm saying, if you're a hardcore fan and you're actually paying attention to Khabib's style and stuff like that. But you can't deny the fact that he's one of the best wrestlers, if not the best wrestler, in the division, and he is undefeated. Now, how would he do, though, against a fucking Eddie Alvarez or a Kevin Lee? I don't know, man. Or Tony Ferguson. I would love to see those fights, but we don't know that yet. But either way, Khabib's 26-0, potentially looking at this fight with Conor McGregor. And I believe just a couple of days ago, Dana White was saying, listen, I can't give you guys an update on this Conor McGregor versus Khabib. I know there's a lot of rumors going around, but I can't update you. We literally have to see what's going on with Conor McGregor's legal situation. And so Dana White's not making anything official, but everyone else is. Everybody else is coming out. Yeah, it's going to be Conor versus Khabib, we feel like. That's the fight that makes the most sense. A lot of stuff's going on that happened before the Floyd fight. Before the Floyd fight, I remember Conor started doing this, and hey, he's starting to do this again. So Conor's getting in there. He's training. We've seen both of these guys train. They're both posting their own cryptic messages. Khabib was talking about everyone will be punished for their actions too. Conor McGregor now at the World Cup, pictures with Putin. I mean, I don't know how many fucking signs we have to see until the fight gets made official. But like I said about a week ago, I have a feeling that the deal is done. I don't think there's no more negotiating. I think Conor knows how much he's going to get. He's not, that piece of the pie shit's probably gone. He might still have it in the back of his mind. But I'm saying as far as this Khabib fight, maybe they'll have that conversation later. It seems like Conor really is ready to get in here, put his hands on Khabib. The feeling's mutual. Khabib's ready to punish Conor. I mean, I think the deal is done. We just have to wait on Conor going back to New York or seeing what's going on with his plea deal. Like, he might not even have to appear again. Honestly, he might not. There's been a report that Conor McGregor's cooperating to the point to where he might just have to pay a fine, do some community service, and not even reappear at his next court date because it's his plea deal. So we'll see what happens, but it really doesn't seem like there's like any crazy ramifications hanging over Conor's head. Like, I don't know, man. Ray Borg still don't have an eye, right? Ray Borg still has one eye. That would be different if Ray Borg literally like lost his eyesight. Then we might not see Conor again. But luckily, Ray Borg was already scratched, or his eye was scratched, and his fight was already rebooked like a month later. So it let us know that the scratch wasn't that bad. Michael Chiesa, he just lost his fight to Anthony Pettis at UFC 226. So a lot of that UFC 223 Barclays melee, that was taken care of. The only person I think that's still kind of pissed off at Conor McGregor, and I'm sure Michael Chiesa is still pissed off, but I'm talking about the only person that's still holding on to that incident, I feel like, seems like Pat Barry and Rose Namajunas, and maybe Michael Chiesa. Maybe Michael Chiesa, he might have came out before and said, Conor cost me my chance at my title shot or something like that, I think he said. You know, because if Ally Quinton, you know, so Chiesa's probably still hanging on to it. But really, other than that, the situation doesn't seem to be that big. I mean, there wasn't any crazy injuries, no crazy jail time, so I think we'll see the fight. Moving on, though, we got UFC 227, the next pay-per-view. TJ Dillashaw fighting Cody Garbrandt in a rematch, much anticipated rematch. TJ Dillashaw thinks his second win over Cody Garbrandt solidifies him as the best bantamweight ever. Hey, man, I'm for sure. I'm down with that. Who else? I mean, I don't know if it'll solidify him because of all the Dominick Cruz fans, you know, and he lost to Dominick Cruz. I think a win over Dominick Cruz, for sure. Like, if you beat Cody twice and then you beat Dominick, I don't think there's anybody that would question TJ being the GOAT at that point. We would have TJ and, not DJ, yeah, DJ and TJ, two of the best fighters of all time, man. At the smaller weight classes, 125 and 135. But no, TJ Dillashaw, he's rematching Cody Garbrandt. He lost that close split decision to Dominick Cruz. But other than Dominick Cruz, I can't think of a bantamweight that stands out. You know, who's the greatest bantamweight of all time? Right now, you're probably just giving it to Dominick Cruz. TJ's up there with what he's been able to do. But right now, you probably give the nod to Dominick Cruz. And since that's the case, I don't know if beating Cody Garbrandt is going to make people say, yeah, he's the GOAT, until you actually get that win over Cruz. But if Cruz never comes back for the rematch, or you never get to fight Cruz again, we might give you the nod. But I don't think Dominick Cruz is all the way out yet. So until Dominick Cruz is officially retired, I would love to see that rematch still. If TJ beats Dominick Cruz in a rematch, I think for sure we can call him the GOAT on top of this rematch. But this is what he had to say on the MMA Hour. It puts me on the top of the greatest of all time bantamweights. I know I'm the best bantamweight ever. I've got a split decision loss to Dominick Cruz, and that changed everything. A fight that I thought I won, that changed everything. But I'm the best bantamweight in the world. I get to continue to grow my legacy. Then I'll move on to the next challenge and continue to be the best pound-for-pound fighter that I possibly can be. Continued to talk about, although he acknowledged that his loss to Cruz has taken away from his legacy to some extent, he doesn't think he needs a rematch with Dominick Cruz to underline his status as the best ever. He says, I don't think so. My performances speak for themselves. We've got to see Dominick Cruz. We've got to see if Dominick Cruz can even fight. The guy can't even get in there anymore, so we'll see if he comes up. But right now, I've just got to worry about knocking Cody out in 3 weeks. I mean, this is going to be a great fight. But yeah, man, I do think a win over Dominick Cruz would solidify it. I'm sure for him, I mean, you just heard from him right there. He feels like he's already the best bantamweight ever. So, I mean, a win over Cody Garbrandt, what are you going to do, convince yourself even more? But if you're talking about convincing the fans and the people and the sport and the other fighters and the UFC and the pound-for-pound rankings, if you're talking about convincing the outside world that you're the best bantamweight ever, you actually might have to rematch Dominick Cruz, just because if you go back and look, it was a split decision loss. And I'm going to be honest, whenever that fight was live, I didn't remember watching it, like TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt, or Dominick Cruz versus TJ Dillashaw, but it's definitely a fight I've went back and rewatched, you know, just in case, because it's a fight where TJ Dillashaw talks about a lot, and especially when he lost the title and went to fight 2 #1 contenders, that's when I kind of started like, yo, TJ's getting fucked over here. Like, he lost a close split decision and ain't got a title shot back. Like, what's going on? So that's when I really started to really dive deeper on TJ Dillashaw and look at all of his stuff back in the day. But either way, what I'm saying is when I went back and watched the fight between TJ and Dominick Cruz, I actually gave the fight to Cruz. I'm not going to lie, man. And I was rooting, like, not rooting for TJ, but when I was watching that fight, I was kind of biased because my mind was telling me that it was closer than it might have been. I was in my head like, wait, did TJ win that fight? Was it that close? But then whenever I went back and watched it, I actually gave the edge to Cruz. I wasn't mad at the decision. So either way, it was a split decision. You didn't get knocked out. So no matter who got their hand raised, you could have been looking at a rematch there. But especially being a split decision. Especially hearing Dana White tell Luke Rockhold, you don't get another title shot. You just got knocked out. You know, Stipe Miocic just got knocked out. No, we're giving it to Brock. So, okay, well, what's literally the fucking opposite, dog? Like, come on, man. I don't even, but just think about this. What's the opposite? How can you have it both ways? Either you don't get a knockout or you don't get a rematch because you got knocked out. But if that's the case, then you do get a rematch if you lose a close split decision. Those are the fucking opposite sides of the spectrum. You either get knocked out or it's a close split decision. One of them has to get the title shot, or is it just like, I don't understand. How do you earn a rematch for your belt? How do you do it? I guess it's got to be a fight like Cody Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw where one person almost won and then the other person got knocked out, but I don't know about that because I've got a feeling like, let's say the shoe was on the other foot and TJ Dillashaw was fighting Cody Garbrandt for the belt. UFC, what was it, 217? They fought at UFC 217. I'm talking about their first fight. Let's say the shoe was on the other foot. Cody Garbrandt was the champion and TJ Dillashaw was the challenger. And that's how it was. But let's say the fight played out the opposite way. What if TJ Dillashaw almost he got the knockdown in the first round? What if instead of Cody almost knocking him out, it happened the exact opposite way? So we go into the second round, and now Cody Garbrandt's the guy that wins the fight. Do you think that TJ Dillashaw gets an immediate rematch? Or do you think Dana White tells him, you just got knocked out in the second round? What are you talking about? A rematch? We don't deserve anything here, brother. You just got knocked out in the second round. Well, that's not what's said to Cody Garbrandt, right? And it might be because the fans want to see it. But you haven't heard that at all. Hey, Cody, you just got knocked out in the second round. You heard it from TJ. Like, what do you mean you want a rematch? You know what I had to go through to get a rematch? You just got knocked out in the second round. You don't deserve a rematch. But that wasn't the way that it was played out. So really, it kind of seems like favorites. But I mean, that's kind of like every workforce. If you're in favorites with the boss, you might get benefits. You know what I'm saying? So if the bosses like you, then you might get opportunities other people don't get. And so if you don't get those opportunities, You probably just ain't in favor with the boss. You know what I'm saying? That's honestly how I feel. If you're Conor McGregor, you're going to get an immediate rematch. Even if and Conor McGregor's the biggest star. But I'm just talking about someone that the UFC fucks with. Because Cody Garbrandt's not Conor McGregor yet. He's got potential. He's got a lot of potential. Young, knockout artist. Fucking tatted up. I mean, he's got everything fans like to watch him fight. He's got a lot of the stuff to become a huge star. And so maybe that's why the UFC likes him as much. Or Darren Till. Let's talk about Darren Till. Maybe he gets a rematch because he's a guy that gets pushed. But I'm just saying, like, the people that it seems like don't get favors from the UFC, they're probably not going to get that immediate rematch. And that really ties into the Stipe Miocic DC thing. Stipe Miocic is a guy that literally until that fight, he felt like the UFC wasn't really rocking with him like that. He felt like he was getting disrespected by the UFC somewhat. He wasn't happy with his pay. You know what I'm saying? So Stipe Miocic is a guy that wasn't really in favor with the UFC brass. And maybe until his last fight, he finally was happy with his pay. But at the same time, before that, leading up, you know, he took everyone remembers when he took the belt from Dana White, gave it to his coach for his coach to wrap it on his waist because he felt like the UFC didn't respect him. And now maybe that's coming back out and rearing its ugly head now that he lost the belt and he wants a rematch. But it's like, hey, man, you know how it goes. You got knocked out in the first round. Luke Rockhold wanted a rematch too. Yeah, but so what are you saying? If I would have got fucking knocked out in the second round, I'd get a rematch like Cody Garbrandt? Should I have just like lasted one more round, you know? Or what's the difference, man? Especially if he's a heavyweight. But it is what it is. You know how that goes. But TJ Dillashaw, he feels like he'll be the best if he can actually beat Cody Garbrandt again. But I got news for you as well. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think TJ Dillashaw is one of the best bantamweights in the world, if not the. He's arguably the, but definitely one of. But Cody Garbrandt's a bad motherfucker, dog. I mean, Cody Garbrandt's coming in here with, he almost finished the fight in the first fight. If he gets that close again, I don't see him making that same mistake in the second round. I mean, there's a real potential we could be seeing a trilogy here. But at the same time, a lot of the times, whenever you see a rematch, it plays out the same way. Now, that doesn't really matter here because it wasn't like TJ just dominated the fight. If it plays out the same way here, Cody could win. He almost won. So, going to be a great fight at UFC 227. TJ could win. We got Demetrius Johnson versus Henry Cejudo on the card. That's another fight. I don't know why. Like, you would think you're just picking DJ to run away with it. It's a rematch as well. He dominated the first fight. But Henry Cejudo, man, I've never been one of those guys that felt like all of the 125-pound fighters were shit. I've never been that guy. I've always put respect on Cejudo's name. I've always put respect on Benavidez's name. Even John Dodson, I'm a guy that I've always put respect on his name. All those guys have fought at flyweight. They're not fucking trash. So people say, oh, DJ's beating up a bunch of nobodies. You're fucking wrong, in my opinion. My opinion, he's beat Joseph Benavidez. He's beat John Dodson. He's beat Henry Cejudo. That's impressive as fuck. So that's my mind. And with that being said, he's going against Henry Cejudo again. And I don't think Henry Cejudo is trash. Some people might think, oh, easy win for DJ. That is not the fucking case. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Henry Cejudo's not just a fucking pushover. You heard it here first, bro. I don't know if I can pick him to win the fight, but I'm telling you right now, it's way closer than you think. Henry Cejudo, I'm not picking him right now to win the fight, but he can. For sure. Fucking forget the first fight. I know the first fight happened. It was like a 3-minute destruction. Beautiful by Demetrius Johnson. But Henry Cejudo's wrestling fucking credentials, dog, gold medalist, he's got potential for the flyweight division. And I'll say this. If Henry Cejudo can't beat Demetrius Johnson at UFC 227, Demetrius is going to run that motherfucking table until he's like 40. Unless he goes up. Henry Cejudo is the only guy in my mind that has a chance at beating Demetrius Johnson in the flyweight division right now, unless he gets caught. But that's because Henry Cejudo's skills. He's already fought Joseph Benavidez twice. John Dodson's up at bantamweight now. He's already fought him twice. So we'll see what happens. But I actually am more interested in this fight than I might have thought. Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson is still intriguing to me. And I'm not going to lie. I give DJ the respect as the pound-for-pound greatest fighter right now. But I'm not counting out Henry Cejudo's skills at all. He's been working since then, training since then. And I feel like he's won every single fight aside from that Demetrius Johnson fight. Even his split decision loss to Joseph Benavidez, I felt like Cejudo won. So Cejudo is actually a fucking beast. Don't get it twisted. I'm definitely still interested in that co-main event, even though a lot of people, you know, it's Mighty Mouse. But hey, it is what it is. moving on, because we've already been going for like fucking 40 minutes, and we still got 8 topics to talk about. This is not good, family. See, this is the bad. We're going to do like some speed MMA, bro, because I got some shit to take care of. On top of it being my nephew's birthday, I got to get this bill paid tomorrow, bro. So with that being said, bro, we might just have to talk about some of this on the live show tomorrow. But this is an interesting rumor. An UFC insider is claiming Max Holloway was knocked out in training. I believe the insider might be Michael Bisping. He revealed this on his podcast, but that's, we don't know his source. But with that being said, speaking to his podcast, Believe You Me, Michael Bisping has now come forward with a few words on the matter. Apparently, he had a concussion in training camp. Word on the street is, I'm hearing, that he got knocked out in training camp and suffered a concussion, but he was still going to fight. Obviously, that could have been very, very damaging for him. God knows what kind of damage he would have taken to his brain. Man, this is a whole... Like, each one of these conversations, we could almost have a whole show about. This right here. Concussions. Max Holloway, and we're just going off of the rumor right now. If he did take a bad concussion before his fight, that's something that the commission wouldn't have cleared if they knew it. What? He just got knocked out 5 days ago? Oh, no. We're not letting him fight. I'm sorry. Sorry about your co-main event, UFC. You think we're just going to fucking let this guy die in here? No, he probably wouldn't have died, but it's definitely a terrible idea to have a concussion, especially as bad as Max Holloway seems to be, and get right back in the octagon with a fucking killer. A guy that we know can knock guys out, because we just saw Brian Ortega knock Frankie out in the first round. Like, if Max Holloway would have went into this fight with that concussion, on top of, yeah, for sure Brian Ortega could have won. But if he got knocked out again, like motherfucking Bisping said, God knows what kind of damage you would have taken. You already got a concussion, you're potentially taking another big one. But that's a side note. I'm more interested in who the fuck knocked Max Holloway out in sparring coming into this fight. You, sir, are a jackass. I don't give a fuck. There's no way there's no fucking way you had the okay to spar that hard with Max Holloway. I don't give a fuck. It makes no sense. It would not happen. Max Holloway has no fucking reason to spar like Darren Till ahead of this fight. None. You're already outstriking Brian Ortega. I'm sorry. Brian Ortega is more known for his jiu-jitsu. Yeah, he can knock a guy out, but he doesn't outstrike, I don't know if anybody. If you look at Brian, we're pulling this shit up, man. It's a fucking live show and we got the internet, now I'm pissed. UFC.com. What the fuck are you sparring that hard for, bro? You should be doing hard jiu-jitsu. Fuck a hard sparring a week before the fight. On top of you're risking the fucking co-main event. Who the fuck was his sparring partner? You're Max Holloway. You're not going to say no to anything. That's not Max Holloway's style. He's not going to turn down a fucking sparring session with Darren Till the day before his fight. Max Holloway don't turn shit down. It is what it is. Oh, I just got knocked the fuck out. I'm fighting this weekend. It is what it is. Who the fuck was his sparring partner? You piece of shit. Who the fuck scrambled Max Holloway's eggs right before his co-main event? And I'm so pissed off because it wasn't fucking necessary. Excuse my language. It wasn't necessary. Max Holloway could have came in and sparring light and probably outstruck Brian Ortega, because that's not his game. Brian Ortega's a guy that's down. You need to be worrying about being tired in the third round. And just, you really, what you need to be worried about with Brian Ortega is your P's and Q's. Not making a mistake. If you can avoid the submission, you're likely going to win the fight. If you can avoid being knocked out when you're up, you're likely going to win the fight. So, with that being said, if striking shouldn't be a priority in this fight, why the fuck are you sparring that hard? And I'm talking to Max Holloway's opponent. Who the fuck do you think you are? How did you get the okay? Where did this come from? If Max Holloway was really knocked out in sparring right before his Brian Ortega fight, someone should have to answer for this. They probably are behind the scenes. Someone should never be allowed in that fucking gym again. I don't give a fuck if you're one of Max Holloway's best friends. You, sir, are out of here. I'll fucking see you when I see you. I'll see you when we're dropping Tilted Towers, for those of you who know what I'm talking about. But other than that, man, fuck you. I'm serious. This is crazy. If this is the real reason, I'm really pissed off, because that's, like, I was concerned for Max Holloway, and I still am, because of how bad it seemed. He was slurring his words, and it's like, when the fuck did he get knocked out? 2 days before his interviews? Or was it really that bad? Dog. Now let's look at these fights, because this is what I'm saying. Max Holloway's not outstriking people, bro. Or Brian Ortega. Look at this. Mike Bellator, round 1, that was overturned suspension. Now let's go from Mike Bellator on. Thiago Tavares. Brian Ortega landed 2 more strikes, but he was taken down 6 more times. He would have lost that fight in a decision. Close striking, lost the wrestling, but he won the fight in the 3rd round. Diego Brandao outstruck him. Even striking with Clay Guida, but he got the knockout. Renato Moicano outstruck Brian Ortega. Cub Swanson outstruck Brian Ortega. Do you see the fucking pattern? Do you see the fucking pattern? Max Holloway is gonna outstrike Brian Ortega. It's not a fucking question. Hawaiian kickboxer. He comes out to that song. Kickboxing. That's more of his background. What the fuck? Who? I want to fucking punch something right now just for thinking who would do this stupid shit. I can't express it, full-time family. I can't without looking like a complete moron and an idiot. But I gotta check out the full-time chat. We gotta check out the full-time family. Somebody's gotta help me out here, please. I'm gonna pull up the chat, and in the meantime, in between time, while I look for your answers, answer this question: why the fuck are you sparring that hard against Max Holloway when you know he's got a fight coming up? And for one, if you're there's no way, like, you had to have been doing this behind his coach's back. If I'm his coach, hey, no hard sparring with Max this whole motherfucking year. You know, not the year, but you get the point. This whole training camp, we don't need hard sparring toward the end. Toward the end, sure, hard sparring in the beginning. But we're not fighting a guy here that's going to come in here and outstrike us. That's not going to happen. Sorry, guys. You don't even have to be sorry. That's a fact. All we need to worry about in this camp is that motherfucking triangle choke, that jiu-jitsu. So if I'm Max Holloway's team, we're working on jiu-jitsu, motherfucking jitsu. We're drilling jiu-jitsu. We're working on takedown defense. We're even working on motherfucking Brian Ortega will get you in a standing guillotine. He'll jump on you like a motherfucking front backpack, like a little fanny pack or some shit, and he'll latch on to you. Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu is insane. It's insane. Fucking jiu-jitsu. That's what we're training. That's what we're motherfucking drilling. We're sparring jiu-jitsu. We're doing competitive jiu-jitsu leading up to this fight. One thing we're not doing is knocking Max Holloway out a week before the fucking fight. God damn. What the fuck sense does that make? Holy smokes. We gotta pull up this chat. Sorry, full-time family. I had to... Who the knocked out Max Holloway before his Brian Ortega fight? Seriously, you should lose your fucking license. You should, whatever the fuck you have, it should be gone. You're no longer ever officially anybody's training partner. Could you imagine Conor McGregor practicing for his fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov, and somebody knocking him the fuck out the week before the fight? Now the fight's canceled because somebody... What? What's your fucking excuse? That pisses me off, dog. To think that somebody would think that they had to spar that hard with Max Holloway before his fight with Brian Ortega. And it's nothing about Brian Ortega being a bad fighter. It's literally everything about his dangerous jiu-jitsu. So I got the chat up now. Hit the mute button. Let's see what we got. We got... Scoop this over so y'all can see. Oh, we gotta pull this over. Alright, full-time family. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on. Alright, computer whiz in the building. We got this shit over here. For some reason, it's only on half the screen. Alright, we got Stamina MC in the building. Jiu-jitsu. That's what I'm saying. The 22 game. Well, if the sparring rumor is true, maybe Max asked for it and it wasn't 100% and wanted 100% from his sparring bro. But if so, I'm sorry, but Max Holloway just would not have the highest fight IQ. I don't want to put that on Max Holloway, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, I hear you. Like, maybe Max asked for it, but I'm not putting that on him because that would be really fucking stupid. And I don't think Max Holloway would make that decision. Maybe he would, just, you know, being it is what it is, fucking balls. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a hard time finding that, though. Because Max Holloway, to become the champion, not only are you going to be a smart fighter, but you're also going to have a smart team, a smart camp. I mean, his coaches should have told him by then, hey, No hard sparring a week before the fight. To be honest, brother, we're going to win the striking in this fight. You're going to outstrike him. You're going to land more strikes. You got to avoid being knocked out, but you can do that. Come on. You're the UFC Featherweight Champion. You can avoid being knocked out by a guy that's not on the level of your striking. Now, yeah, anybody can get clipped, but that's literally a factor for every fight. That's like check me out. That's like somebody getting knocked out in sparring before they fight Damian Maia. Now, Brian Ortega does have more knockout power, you might think, than Damian Maia. But what I'm saying is, your game plan should be a lot more jiu-jitsu based. Your fight camp for a guy that's likely his best chance to beat you is to submit you. That should be your focus. Of course, it's an MMA fight. You still got to work some striking. But if you're coming in here, Max Holloway, one of, if not the best striker in the featherweight division, that's probably not going to be where you lose this fight. So even if you're still sparring, I'm not saying don't spar at all. Spar light, spar medium, but there's never a reason that I can find in my mind. There's zero reasons that you should be sparring this hard enough to get knocked out before your co-main event with Brian Ortega. This is a fight here that, I mean, I don't want to call it it's definitely not a gimme. Brian Ortega is very dangerous, as we just saw. He's down, but he's never out. He's got the clutch G. But for Max Holloway, really, in my mind, to win this fight, you just have to not make a mistake. You're the better fighter, for sure. No one's going to argue that. I don't think anybody believes Brian Ortega is a better technical fighter, better well-rounded fighter, or any of the above than Max Holloway. But the reason you don't count Brian Ortega out is because he's got a chance, he's got the clutch gene. But other than that, man, I really just, I don't know. I'm just not seeing any reason to get knocked out ahead of your Brian Ortega fight. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if you're practicing against Conor McGregor or a guy that's likely going to knock you the fuck out, even if you're sparring for Wonder Boy. If you're sparring for Wonder Boy, if you're sparring for Till, if you're sparring for McGregor, if you're sparring for anybody that's going to be coming at you with some heat, you might want to feel that before the fight. But if you're sparring with the guy that you're like, there's a 98% chance that Max Holloway outstrikes Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega striking, I'm sorry, it's not going to be on the level of Max Holloway's. His jiu-jitsu for sure. That's why jiu-jitsu. Fucking train your jiu-jitsu. This whole camp, jiu-jitsu, we can do a little bit of sparring, but there should never be a point in that sparring where Max Holloway gets knocked out to the point he's slurring his fucking words. Never. That's what I'm saying. There's just no way. The 22 game said I think it's more of a weight cut issue. He's been struggling the last 3 times now. And if that's something, now, it's hard to say he was struggling with weight when you're talking about his Khabib fight. He literally took that fight on a week's notice. You know what I'm saying? So that one, I don't think he was struggling with weight. But now, if he was having those concussion type symptoms due to weight cutting, that looks terrible on weight cutting. Like, but now there's been reports now or rumors that it was some sparring. You know, now maybe Michael Bisping's sources is wrong. That could very well be a realistic possibility. Maybe it was weight cutting. But I'll say this on that note. If it was weight cutting, something's got to give on weight cutting. You can't have your fucking champion dehydrating his brain coming into a fight, you know? And if it was more just weight cutting, I think we would have seen this more often in the past. We had guys like Conor McGregor, who was like drained all the way in making featherweight. You see some of the pictures of Conor McGregor, you know what I'm saying? Looking like a featherweight when he was weighing in at featherweight. You would think there's guys that have made some of those bigger weight cuts in the past that we would have seen these signs before. Conor McGregor, even making that featherweight, always had his wits about him. He's still talking trash. He's still being motherfucking Conor McGregor doing his thug thizzle. He's not getting on the interviews, Aldo, it's going to be a great fight, right? Yeah, it wasn't the same. So I don't think that this is solely weight cut related, especially when you look at the fact his last weight cut issue was he took the fight on a week's notice. So, of course, he's not in shape for that fight. But other than that, we're going to move on to Chris Cyborg, believing Amanda Nunes will be her last fight in the UFC. This is I was listening to Coach Shelton Harrison's interview with Cindy Dandois earlier today. She was talking about she actually believes that there's, and she's heard some rumors, the Cyborg could be going to Bellator in the future. And this is a sign from Cyborg herself that that's a very realistic possibility. Shoot, she's actually talked about it in the past. They've also already got a featherweight division that's more legit than the UFC's. And I know it's crazy to say, but it's facts. I mean, Holly Holmes, a bantamweight. The UFC's featherweight division right now consists of Chris Cyborg and Megan Anderson. I mean, just off the top of my head, Bellator, we can go with Julia Budd, Talita Nogueira, and Sinead Kavanaugh. That's 3 off the top of my head, legit featherweight. So one of them, just off the top of my head, Bellator's is already better. And the UFC's not doing anything to make us believe they're committing to this featherweight division. They just signed a bunch of bantamweights for the Ultimate Fighter featherweights. Like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We've seen Cyborg beating up bantamweights. So why should Cyborg believe that you're going to commit to her division? Unless you come out and sign Cindy Dandois to a featherweight contract. Unless you come out and sign all these other legit featherweights that didn't make it to the Ultimate Fighter show. If you sign them to contracts, maybe we'll believe you. But if not, if you're just giving us a half, and it's not even the full Ultimate Fighter Season 28, it's half the show. Half is women's featherweights / bantamweights, and half is heavyweights. It's not even like the whole house is just going to be female featherweights blossoming into the UFC. Now you got Bellator, they've got a featherweight division. So I'm surprised that the girls the UFC hasn't signed yet, Bellator hasn't picked up. To be honest, I don't know what they're waiting on. Why ain't Bellator picked up Cindy Dandois yet? Cindy Dandois. Or none of these other girls, Pam Bam Sorensen. Like these other legit featherweights you hear about, I'm surprised Bellator hasn't already picked them up. And we'll see where that goes. But Cyborg could be in Bellator by 2019. And I would fucking hate that. I'm not going to lie. You know why? Selfishly. 2020. I want to see Kayla Harrison versus Cyborg in the future. And whether it's 2020, whether it's 2021, that's a fight I'm already paying to see. Like, I would literally pay to see that fight. Like, I would pre-order that fight 3 years in advance. If I had the money and I wasn't, like, a fucking broke bitch out here, I would, and you told me, UFC motherfucking 80, Harrison versus Cyborg, I'm in. If I, like, let's say I had $10,000 in the bank, I would put $60 down to pre-order that shit. That's how much I want to see that fight, bro. I know Chris Cyborg is the greatest female fighter of all time. As of right now, that always changes in every sport, it's of all time. It's not of right now. That's why it's of all time. So it's gonna change. Eventually, whether it's age that catches up to Cyborg, whether it's the sport that catches up, something's gotta give. Everybody leaves the sport. And so with that being said, that could be a very realistic possibility. Cyborg could ride off into the sunset, you know, not losing another fight in her career ever again. That's a very realistic possibility. But also, you've got girls that feel like Cyborg, you know, even listening to the interview with Cindy Dandois on Coach's channel. She said, yeah, Cyborg clearly, she'd probably be able to outstrike me. I feel like I'd have my chance on the ground. I'm not the best striker in the world, but really, when's the last time we just seen Cyborg woman handling chicks on the ground, right? It's not like Cyborg's putting bitches in arm bars out here every other fight, you know. This fight I'm gonna knock you out. This fight I'm gonna win by Kimura. This time I'm fucking pulling guard and choking your shit. This time triangle choke. You know, Cyborg's usually beating bitches down with the hands. You know, shoot box, how Cyborg style. She's coming through outstriking bitches a lot of the time. And females, damn, that's real disrespectful, my bad. But it is what it is. We're just conversating. I'm not being disrespectful. It's not what's going on. I'm just talking. But with that being said, not only Kayla Harrison, but girls like Cindy Dandois, they feel like if they fight Cyborg, their best chance would be on the mat. Now here's where we're going to take this from Cyborg. We're going to come back on this topic, but we got to talk about Kayla Harrison for a second. Kayla Harrison's ability to get Cyborg from the mat to the mat is going to be better than anyone Cyborg potentially will ever face. Now, maybe there's somebody out there that we don't know about yet, but with Kayla's 2-time gold medal in judo and her submission skills that come with that and her grappling skills, I don't know if we've ever seen that against Ronda Rousey. Honestly, anybody, please film me if I'm mistaken. Who has Cyborg ever faced that's going to have those grappling skills? I'll wait. I don't think anybody. There's nobody you can name that's got the skill. That's part of the reason people wanted to see Ronda Rousey versus Cyborg. It was kind of the style matchup as well. It wasn't just, oh, Ronda Rousey's out here fucking world beating. She's going to flip Cyborg on her head as well, you know, because she was still a smaller fighter a little bit. Ronda Rousey was still always that bantamweight. She had that restriction in the UFC. I know she fought at featherweight like way back in the day, like maybe in Strikeforce, but in the UFC, Ronda Rousey was always looked at as a bantamweight champion. Can Cyborg make bantamweight? You know, so But either way, the style, Ronda Rousey's judo, was kind of what was intriguing as well. So now you take Ronda Rousey's gold or bronze medal in judo, up that up to gold, add another one, add weight because Kayla Harrison's fighting at 155 pounds, and I think we're looking at the Cyborg killer. I hate saying that name too, but it is what it is. I think Kayla Harrison will present problems not just for Cyborg, but for a lot of the girls she's going to fight. She's fighting in the PFL right now to lightweight, and I can't wait for her next fight. I'll say that much. But with that being said, let's just touch on this actual topic of Amanda Nunes and Cyborg. Cyborg saying that she believes that this might be her last fight. She said, Friday last week, I talked to the UFC and I said I wanted to fight, that I'm ready to fight. I've been training, ready, I want to fight. They offered me September the 8th in Dallas to fight Amanda. I said, that's fine, I'll fight, I've been training, I'm ready. A champion has to be ready all the time. Then on Monday, they said she didn't accept September 8th. They said, I wanted to fight anyway. Or that's what Cyborg said. I want to fight. I don't want to be idle. And then Amanda sent the picture saying she accepted the fight on December 29th. This whole situation is fishy, to be honest. I don't know what the fuck's going on between Cyborg and Amanda Nunes and the UFC. I know they don't like each other. I know they want to fight. Seems like the UFC wants to make the fight. But at the same time, I don't know what's going on here. Because why would you send them two different contracts, right? Or maybe they both got both contracts. Like, here's a fight for September, and if you guys don't want to fight in September, you can fight in December or wherever Amanda Nunes wants to fight. But it's like, if you do that, you literally just gave Amanda Nunes the out. If you would have just sent them the contracts for September, I want to hear Amanda Nunes' excuse. Where the fuck did this December contract that Amanda signed came from? You gave her that out. Because it's like, if they both just have a contract and Cyborg says, hey, I just signed to fight Amanda Nunes, it's UFC 228. What's Amanda Nunes' answer? I don't want to fight you. No. What do you say? I'm injured. To me, that's Amanda Nunes' best way. If she would have came out and said, hey, I'm injured. Something happened in my last fight. Y'all saw 180 days. You know what I'm saying? Because she did get a up to 180-day suspension. So that's Amanda Nunes' best way out of this, is saying I'm injured. But you can't give me a later date without that injury clause. Because what are you talking about? I don't want to fight in September, but I want to fight in December. Like, no. You shouldn't even have that option unless you're injured. What do you just want to sit out? All right, I get it. But with that being said, that would have been a lot more clear if the UFC, if Amanda Nunes didn't post the picture. What are you talking about? I already signed the contract. Look, December. Look, I'm signing. We're talking about fucking September 8th right now, dog. Now later in the building says, no one will be able to control Cyborg like Kayla full-time. Motherfucking $2 super chat in the building now and later coming through with the big $2 and the Kayla Harrison love. That's my motherfucking dog. Me and now later are like this because he sees the potential in Kayla Harrison. Thank you very much, good sir. But I kind of forgot where I was. Oh yeah, Amanda Nunes and Cyborg. Oh yeah, the contract. Come on, dog. UFC, y'all made a mistake in my mind. Because now, Chris Cyborg, it would have looked a lot worse on Amanda Nunes, right? It would have probably helped get her to the fight, and if Amanda Nunes backs out, she backs out, but we would have been a lot more clear. Like, hey, what's going on here? Is Amanda Nunes fighting Holly Holm? Is she fighting Cyborg? Like, really, what's going on? We would have been asking those questions. But now Amanda Nunes answered all of our questions with signing that contract. So it's like, we don't know what's going on, but I don't understand why the UFC did that, man. Because Cyborg's ready to fight now. So now what do we do? Cyborg's ready to fight. Is she going to just fight? Somebody give me a name. I'm sure you guys know the WMMA fighters outside the UFC. I'm sure there's an Invicta Bantamweight champion right now just waiting on the call from Cyborg. Like, what? Cyborg wants to fight another 130. She wants to fight. It's not Cyborg wants to fight another 135-pounder. But Cyborg needs another opponent. I want a payday. I'll fight her. Fuck it. If I win, I win. And I'm probably going to lose. You know? Now and later with the super chats. Let's motherfucking go full time in the building. Let's go. Now and later. Much appreciated, man. Thanks again for the $2. That's going to help a lot, actually. Especially with all the shit we got going on. So thank you very much. But yeah, man, that fucked it up, man. The fact that the UFC sent her that second contract to Amanda Nunes, and I would like to hear about how that came about, because now you got Nina Ansaroff calling fake news on Chris Cyborg. It's like, what? I wish they would just give us some clarity. Like, why is Amanda Nunes out until December? Like, if she would have just came out and said, yo, I'm injured until December, this wouldn't even be a conversation. Cyborg could just be like, hey, I'm fighting someone else. Amanda Nunes is out until December. I'm fighting someone else. It's that, literally that fucking simple. But now, Cyborg is saying, yo, I want to fight Nunes now. And she's like, I want to fight you in December. And it's like, it's a mess now, the way that this played out. And really, the thing that made it the mess is that second contract. Like, I just don't understand. And for Amanda Nunes, I mean, who is she going to fight next? Is it Cyborg? What happened to Caitlin Vieira? What happened to Holly Holm? And now are we fast forwarding to Cyborg? And also, this is a situation where Cyborg kind of should have called Amanda Nunes' bluff. It really turns it into a big shit show that we got going on here. Because now, Amanda Nunes, we've got a picture of her signing the contract. We've got that picture. But now Cyborg's like, but no, I don't want to wait. So now Cyborg's got to pull back. And what's going on here? It's just like, so now Cyborg could say, all right, I'll wait till December to fight you. I'll wait until December 29th just to call Amanda Nunes' bluff. But there's no guarantee Amanda Nunes don't get sinusitis or injured. So what if you wait 4 months for Amanda Nunes to be ready and then she finds a way out of the fight? You could have already had a fight in. Cyborg's ready to fight now. So now she has to turn down the Amanda Nunes fight. So now Cyborg's turning down Amanda Nunes' UFC in December 29th fight so she can take a different fight. It's literally a back and forth bullshit we got going on here, and I feel like a lot of it's unnecessary. Amanda Nunes, are you injured or are you not? If you're injured, that explains everything. So we're going to move on from this topic, but and I seen somebody in the comments said maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they did that on purpose. I don't know. But Amanda Nunes is opening up. She joined Ariel Helwani's show. But she says she's open to fighting Cyborg. She's opening up on this whole topic. This is what she had to say, I believe, on the show. Let's see. Should be at the bottom. See, this is the whole back and forth going on. We're just going to go over this real quick, actually. Real quick. Look. Here's Amanda Nunes signing the contract. Waiting on you, Cyborg. And you got Cyborg with the tweets. I agreed for a second time. Let's go. 2/28. Like they got the dates wrong. And then now she's responding to her signing the contract. Well, oh, you want to wait 10 months without fighting any featherweights willing to fight? So now Cyborg's like, well, shit, I'm not going to wait for her. So any other featherweights want to fight? So now we're going to get another Cyborg versus Kunitskaya, or Cyborg versus Evinger, or Cyborg versus insert Bantamweight here. So, I mean, just crazy situation. Going back to a man speaking on Ariel Helwani's MMA show, Amanda Nunes revealed that she has been offered a fight by the UFC. What? Amanda Nunes revealed that she was offered a fight against Amanda Nunes? Okay, they must mean Cyborg. Nunes claims that she is currently injured and that the UFC should need more time to promote the champion versus champion super fight. So Nunes, speaking with Ariel Helwani, is saying she's injured. So then that still brings up more questions. Okay, so UFC, why are you sending Cyborg a contract for Dallas if Amanda Nunes is injured? You know, maybe Amanda Nunes isn't telling all the way the truth there, because I don't see the UFC. I would assume they probably talked to the doctors or whoever gave Amanda Nunes that suspension. I don't think, like, let's say a fighter like who just had an injury setback, Luke Rockhold, right? He just got his leg injury. We saw him getting surgery. I don't think the UFC's offering Luke Rockhold contracts to fight right now. Hey, Luke Rockhold, I know you just got leg surgery, but hey, are you interested in fighting next month? What the fuck? I just got leg surgery. Amanda Nunes, she just got injured as well. It wasn't as visible of an injury. We didn't see her getting her surgery done like we saw Luke Rockhold. But after her fight with Raquel Pennington at UFC 224, she was suspended from 60 to 180 days. So I feel like she should have been saying this in the beginning. Like her first response right here in this motherfucking tweet. Right here. It should have said, waiting on you, Cyborg. You know I'm injured for Dallas. You know I can't make Dallas. Quit playing the fans. I would have came at her harder. Like, what are you talking about, Dallas? You know I'm injured. Why are you faking for the fans? You're looking for an... We're moving on, man. We already don't got all the time in the world. And we already been going for 1 hour and 9 minutes, man. It is what it is. It's MMA, man. It's MMA, man. It's MMA. We just gonna keep talking. Francis Ngannou in response to Dana White's ego rant targets Junior Dos Santos next. That's a fight that was already supposed to happen. JDS versus Francis Ngannou. That's a fight that Junior Dos Santos was pulled out of. He was flagged by USADA. He was cleared. Lost that huge opportunity. This was before Francis, like, if this was before Francis was exposed, people would say JDS versus Francis was going to be a great fight. Actually, a lot of people picked Francis Ngannou to run through JDS. They thought that he was going to, you know, JDS was chopped liver, especially coming off that Alistair Overeem knockout, or just the knockouts Francis Ngannou was coming off of. People were looking at Francis Ngannou like he was going to run over JDS. I wonder if you look at it the same way now. That's funny, because now we just saw Junior Dos Santos beat Blagojevic at UFC Boise in a 5-round unanimous decision. It wasn't the most high-paced fight, right? It was a lot closer to Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou than Stipe versus DC. But either way, Junior Dos Santos just beat a guy in his UFC return, and he won a 5-round decision. We don't have those cardio questions for Junior Dos Santos. So it's interesting to see how the tables have turned. First time this fight was scheduled, we thought Francis Ngannou would run over Stipe, or would run over JDS. Now you're like, JDS is probably going to put a whooping on Ngannou. I'm not putting my faith in Ngannou. Again, it depends on who he's against. I did it against Derek Lewis. I'm a huge fucking fan of Derek Lewis. I want to slap myself right now for picking against Derek Lewis, picking fucking Francis Ngannou. I don't know what I felt worse about, picking Francis Ngannou to win or picking Derek Lewis to lose. But I did both, so I feel like a jackass. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, motherfucker. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This motherfucker should already fooled me twice. I was convinced of Stipe. Like, oh, actually, I picked Stipe to win the fight, but I'm still buying into the hype a little bit. But after I lose, once you lose this fight to Derek Lewis, well, man, Junior Dos Santos was about to get in here and get that work done. If this fight gets scheduled, I'm picking Junior Dos Santos to get that work done. Now, later said, Lady in Red is dancing with full time. Who's the lady in red? Oh, shoot, Aaron Burrell in the chat. Brother doesn't always make it to the live shows. What is up, Big Dog Burrell? We got Lorenzo T in here. Hashtag Fire Snoop. Actually, I also wanted to have some, full-time family. This show was supposed to be a short show. We got people, family downstairs. It's my nephew's birthday. I got some work lined up later tonight that's supposed to be with my uncle. Hopefully that comes through, because I'm like 60 short on my fucking bill tomorrow. That's already on a payment plan. But you saying Fire Snoop made me... Have you guys seen this? We're going to come back. Have you guys seen this fucking Despacito? And I'm not talking about mine. I did the Despacito parody, UFC. It was for Brandon Moreno versus Sergio Pettis. But now there's... You guys remember, I'm all about that cake and chicken with DC. Now we got that shit, but for Kelvin Gastelum. But I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm going to let you guys be the judge. All right, I just wanted to let you guys hear it. We're going to come back to that, actually. Just a little bit of a... All right, so you can see Kelvin Gastelum featured in funny Despacito parody. I'm going to let you guys be the judge at the end of the show. We're going to play Kelvin Gastelum's Despacito parody, and then we're going to play Big Full Times. And I'm going to let you guys be the judge, because I'm not going to lie. I might be biased, but I'm usually not that type of guy. Oh, my shit's better than everybody's. But I will say, my shit was better than this. I feel like I was killing their Despacito. We're going to go over that at the end, speaking of Fire Snoop. But yeah, man. Forward thinking in the building, it's Red Panty Night. Lady in Red is dancing with full time. Is that what it meant? Oh, is that what Now and Later is saying? It's Red Panty Night. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Good sir. He says, that fight was horrible. Boxing ain't no real fight. How you get walked out to the knockout looking like a million likes? Man, I'm just saying, I got some bars. We got some potential, full-time family. Buck with your boy. Yo, would that be... I low-key wish I could do one of those freestyles for every fight night. When I first started doing them, that's what I was doing. Like, oh, Pettis versus Moreno, Mexico City. Like, I was doing it every weekend. And if we actually ever get to a point to where I can afford to pay my bills from this channel, then I will do that. Like, literally, I'm going to put that as a goal on Patreon. Like, once we're up there, and it's probably going to be something crazy, because I'm going to have to be able to support myself, because those take a lot more time. I got to get the song. I got to do a lot more for those videos, so that's a lot more effort on top of all of the effort I'm already putting in. We're already putting into the channel. So it just gets overwhelming sometimes. It's like, God, I got to cover all the news. I got to do the predictions. I got to do the betting. And I got to do a song. You know, but and I gotta fucking go to work at 6 in the morning, and I gotta motherfucking figure out this payday loan situation and these motherfucking bills that are already all on payment plans, and I got these crazy ass roommates, and I got, you know what I'm saying? So I got so much shit going on. But like a year from now, whenever everything hopefully is more comfortable, we've got the better equipment, we're bigger as a channel. A year from now, bro, I want to be doing one of those songs for every single fucking fight night, every pay-per-view, like at least for the main event. You know, I think that would be cool. Like I would have did one for Dos Santos versus Ivanov, and then we got coming up this week, UFC. We had another UFC coming up this week. Who was a headline by Hamburg? You know what I'm saying? I would love to be able to do that because that's when honestly, I enjoy doing those. I enjoy the result, like that song, the Fire Snoop joint, man. That. Like, I get into those. Like, not even just because they're good. I actually enjoy writing them. I enjoy rapping them. I enjoy replaying them. Like, I enjoy that a lot, but I just can't really do what I enjoy right now. Even though I feel like that is productive because those aren't the most popular videos. You know, like, if they went viral or something, it'd be worth it to do it. But, you know, we all enjoy them. It might be, like, you know, 100 people that see it, though, or something crazy. So it's like, I could just give you my thoughts on Francis Ngannou versus Dana White and get 300 views, you know, and that's going to add more pennies to the piggy bank. Or I could spend 2 days writing a song and get like 100 views on it. It's like, you know what I'm saying? The time isn't worth the, you know what I'm saying? So, but I would love to do those, man, and I'm glad you enjoy it. I see you got the lyrics on deck. That's why I'm elaborating on this, because the fact that you said, boxing ain't no real fight, it's got me thinking about the lyrics. That's super dope that people actually enjoy those. You know what I'm saying? Just being a fucking random custodian a year and a half ago, keep that in mind. I still am a random custodian, but now I actually have a YouTube channel. But you know what I'm saying? That's still super dope. A lot of this is crazy, bro. You know what I'm like? Some of these days I'll be feeling overwhelmed. Like I got so much shit going on. Shit ain't always, you know, shit'll be piling down, and so I'll be irritated, and when I'm irritated thinking about the channel, it'll make me have bad thoughts about the channel. Like, is this shit ever going to be anything? Like, what the fuck am I really doing? Should I go out here and look for like an $8 an hour job and like just try and do that grind, even though it would take so much away from the potential of the channel? Like, I'd be having dilemmas. I'd be second guessing myself. I'd be, you know what I'm saying? This shit is a fucking like emotional roller coaster ride. But hey, man, it's kind of fun, and I appreciate you guys all for being a part of it. So we're going to continue with this news before we end up talking about life for fucking 2 more hours. You guys can't tell, I clearly love to talk, or I just do it. You know what I'm saying? I like to rant and ramble sometimes. But hey, it is what it is, man. Let's continue. He's talking about Dana White, who said he had an ego problem. He said, let's see, Ngannou appeared on Ariel Helwani's MMA show. He opened up more. He said he was hurt and surprised by Dana White's comments. If someone has an issue with you and doesn't tell you, how would you react? If you haven't seen him or talked with him, if you have an issue, tell me. Wow. Yo, it's almost time for Dana. It's almost time for Dana White. I'm sorry. Like, whenever the UFC first sold, it was hard to imagine the UFC without Dana White. But it's almost like, I don't know if it's because he's lost the reins. I don't know if it's because he's content. I don't know if it's because he's got bosses now. Dana White, man, it feels like he's been getting less and less likable to me. A lot of the shit going on. And maybe he's always been that way. And me being a casual fan back in the day, I didn't pick up on it as much. But he does say a lot of shit about these fighters sometimes. And when you hear their side, I'm like, you kind of shit on them in public before we got to hear their side. And this is a situation here, especially Ngannou. People talked about Ngannou. Dana White talked about Francis Ngannou having an ego problem. Dog, you're one of the biggest reasons he has an ego problem. Literally, Dana White helped us sell us on Francis Ngannou. I'm not talking about anyone else either. I'm not talking about like Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby. We don't know those guys enough. I'm talking about the person that sold us on Francis Ngannou. The person that told us he was hitting like a motherfucking Ford Escort. The person that, you know, was showing up. Like, Dana White helped sell us on Francis Ngannou. He probably helped sell Francis on Francis Ngannou. You start bringing him to the Performance Institute and getting him these nice haircuts and tailor-made suits, and, you know, just every time you see him, it's all good things and smiles. Y'all, you're the best. You're the future champ. A lot of people built this guy's ego, so for you to come in here and just shit on him and say he has an ego problem, that already kind of threw up a red flag. I'm like, ooh, yeah, but we kind of did that to him. It's not like he came into this sport with a fucking ego problem. For instance, Ngannou has very humble beginnings. Even when you listen to him talk today, he doesn't come across as egomaniacal. He doesn't come across as someone that's got a huge ego. He's very humble. So for Dana White to come out and say, oh, he's got a, I think he was dealing with an ego thing. And then now that we're hearing Francis's side, he didn't even say shit to me about it. You know what I'm saying? To my knowledge, I thought me and Dana were good. And but come to find out, he's telling you, oh, y'all got an ego problem? Yeah, it hurts. That's my boss. That's somebody I thought was on my side. I thought Dana White supported me. I lose 2 fights, and he's one of the first people to jump off the bandwagon. So you can imagine Francis Ngannou's a little confused, a little hurt by this shit. Like, he's saying it behind my back. I see Dana White at the Performance Institute. Say it to me. But now we got to have a real conversation. Would you tell Francis Ngannou to his face he has an ego problem? Oh, I don't think so, dog. I don't think so. So that might be a little harder now. That might be a little harder than, easier said than done. Hey, Francis, your fight that you just lost with Derek, look, I was going to tell them, but I had to tell you first. I really think your ego's running away with you. What are you talking about, Dana? Your ego, Francis. You ain't just going to have that conversation right there. Like, I know, but hey, it's fun, though. Francis Ngannou continued. He said, we're all human. I don't necessarily, I agree I have an ego. I'm never one to stay down when I fell down. You have to have that ego when you're a fighter. You have to stand there and believe you're number one. That's ego, but not the one to hurt people around me. We have spoke together. I just don't know why. If he had something to say, he would tell me. Like, we've spoke. How come he didn't bring up that ego shit at the Performance Institute? That's all I'm asking. But hey, it is what it is. It's Dana White. But just to continue on my earlier point, we might be seeing Dana White out of here sooner rather than later. Changing the weigh-ins. That pissed fighters off. Like, yo, what? You ain't even going to ask us? Dog, they tell us that it's healthier for us to weigh in the morning, which is why we switched here. Now we're getting used to this shit, and then we don't even get consulted, and you're talking about, yeah, sorry, we're not having the conversation, and it's going back. Now, it seems like they've pulled back on that ideal a little bit, but it just seems like, honestly, man, just from what I've been paying attention to and stuff that's been going on with Dana White, I'm getting the inklings and the feelings like Dana White's days in the UFC might be numbered. I mean, maybe he's just going to ride off into the sunset and spend some of the money that he's earned. I'm sure Dana White doesn't need to make any more money. In my mind, I would assume not. Now, I've never had that much money, so I don't know what the fuck it's like. Maybe you do, because maybe once you have fucking $10 million in the bank, inflation kills you. I have no clue. I've never had $10,000 in the bank. But all I'm saying is I would assume, just being broke on me, you could probably live off of the amount of money that you've probably made in your past. With your Dana White, you're the UFC president, you make, it seems like outside looking in, you got like